The Last of Us Part 2 is an upcoming action-adventure game obviously developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment as an exclusive PlayStation 4 game. Part 2 is set 5 years after the events of its 2013 predecessor, The Last of Us, where players utilize the significantly more agile Ellie, who's now 19 years of age. This is a huge leap from the more vulnerable 13-year-old Ellie, who's now much older from before. As the description of the game states on the official PlayStation page, after a horribly violent event ruins the peace offered by the comfortable life in Tommy's Dam, settled in Wyoming, Ellie must now embark on a journey to, and I quote, carry out justice and find closure. As she hunts those responsible one by one, she is confronted with the devastating physical and emotional repercussions of her actions. Those words can never be so clear-cut, yet so not. The more obvious direction that Naughty Dog are going with this game's narrative is through the lens of the initial reveal trailer back in 2016, is that Ellie's goal is to ultimately seek revenge. She confidently says to a faceless Joel that she is going to find and kill every last one of them before the title was revealed for the first time ever. Naughty Dog has dropped a bombshell that day, also detailing the whereabouts regarding a supposed Uncharted 4 DLC, which would later become a standalone game titled Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Not to ruin the spotlight for The Lost Legacy, but it was simply overshadowed by the surprisingly new arrival of one of PlayStation's most anticipated current-gen titles for the PlayStation 4. Even so, sites began urging fans to pre-order the game before it were sold out when the option began back in October of last year. I mean, no kidding. It's gaming's most beloved game, and yet the plotline for the story is so ever mysterious. While this may be Naughty Dog's approach into not spoiling the little treats involved in this massive game, that's not enough to justify its lack of detail. Everything from 2018's E3 demo displaying the crisp new mechanics of hiding under cars and explosive arrows to the controversial Paris Games Week trailer, which displayed brutal executions while raising questions regarding who this mystery woman could possibly be within the world of The Last of Us. All in all, it's quite a lot to dissect, but we'll try anyways. Firstly, I think a subject we must tackle is the theme of this sequel. As we know, it revolves around hate and this notion of seeking justice against those who have wronged us. This is by far the most contradicting theme I've ever heard of, because how could one seek justice against someone or a group of people who have wronged you in a world that's anarchical and full of chaos, free of powerful jurisdiction to state otherwise? This is what surprises me the most, and that is The Last of Us Part 2's theme. The first game was about love, something that was evidently there through the subtle undertone of its existence through gameplay and story. That is the very theme that resonated with gamers across the globe, and why it has become a title that many have regarded their ultimate favorite game to date. Contrasting with The Last of Us Part 2, which, as I said, revolves around hate. It is clear to me that we are going to get a harmonious beginning to Part 2 with a devastating end, which would be in reverse to The Last of Us Part 1, where players experienced a devastating beginning and an arguably harmonious end in respects to literal expression, not metaphorically. Metaphorically, we're led to believe conflict and moral belief of these two characters, Ellie and Joel of course, who have become distant, and this is where Part 2 may continue from.
I'll walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I fear no evil, because I'm blind to it all.
I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Psalms 23 verse 4. Partially sung by Ellie in 2016's Reveal, is a symbolic description of the world, meaning darkness and death are symbolically valleys on earth one must walk through as a part of the human experience. This would mean that a terrifying and emotionally traumatizing event transpires, and my bet is rape. I know this is a very touchy subject, one which I will not dwell on for any longer, but I believe that Ellie will become a victim of some form of sexual assault, with the evidence pointing to a potential pregnant Ellie suggested by the cover of the American Daughters comic book made by Neil Druckmann himself. As a part of Ellie's acceptance of this dark and unforgiving world, she must embark on a journey to confront her evil by bringing closure to those who have wronged her and bring an end to her internalized suffering. This seems to be a core plotline for The Last of Us Part 2, with clear additions of surprise appearances made by famous rapper Logic, several other cast members who made a showing in the Paris Games Week trailer, as well as actress Chelsea Tavares, some of which are alluding to her playing Ellie's ex-girlfriend. Whatever the case with this perplexed marketing, Naughty Dog most certainly has an ambitious video game on their hands, said to be their longest and most aspiring title to date, hopefully bringing closure to the story behind Joel and Ellie. Speaking of Joel, has anyone seen him other than the brief display at 2016's PlayStation Experience and the latest trailer? I sure haven't. Why is that, you may wonder? Well, sadly, I don't have the answers to that, but many, including myself, have theories regarding Joel actually being a symbolic figure for Ellie's supposed lone wolf adventure, as opposed to having Joel by her side, mainly suggesting that Joel dies within the first hours of the game. I believe that despite all of the unclear pretenses that the final scene conveyed, there must be a lot of story to tell regarding Joel and Ellie's exact relationship, and I hope that Naughty Dog doesn't take the approach of not allowing fans to dwell on Joel's existence longer before killing him off within a few hours from the start. This is purely speculation as to The Last of Us's plot so far. I can't possibly speculate as to all of the lore regarding the world, but it's safe to assume that we'll be getting a lot more official information closer to launch, being May 29th of 2020. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to subscribe to my channel, and if you're interested in this type of content I post, I know you can stay on top of things through my social media links, which will be in the description below. And with that all being said, thank you a lot for watching once again, and I have been TheStarkz. Peace.
Still waters, and they restore my soul, but I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong.